Hello, this is John with Theology Ed. I'm back. It's been a while since I've posted, and people are asking for more content, and I have things to say, so I'll go ahead and get back to it. And hopefully, I'll be able to post more again. And I know people are wanting a sort of an update, especially after the April 8th eclipse. I plan to make a video about that, hopefully pretty soon. In my video on the April 8th eclipse, I was talking about it being looking forward all the way to events that come after the lunar eclipse on March 14th, 2025. So in my mind, I didn't think we were going to see everything happen very quickly after the April 8th eclipse anyways, but I see that, understandably, we want to get updates on that, see where we're at, and if we're still... if things are still moving ahead as it looked like they were going to be moving ahead, and if things actually changed at all with the April 8th eclipse. I think they have, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. In this video, I want to talk about turning red again a little bit, because in the news, if you take a look here, we have news this is from today, that a new, most dangerous monkeypox or MPox strain could cross borders. A new, deadlier strain of MPox that transmits more easily between people is killing children and causing miscarriages in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and may have already spread to neighboring countries, researchers have warned. Okay, so this is killing, let's see, I think it's about 10% of infected children, 5% of adults, and 10% of children who get the strain will die. Now, you remember in Turning Red, we'll get to these in a second. In Turning Red, we had this girl at night during an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, becomes a panda, a red panda. And that represented her, I take it to be representing her to be a pandemic that comes with the eclipse. Now, it happened, as it turned out, this film was released prior to the May 2022 total lunar eclipse, and the first total lunar eclipse after the film was that May eclipse. And that was when there was a tabletop exercise or something about a monkeypox outbreak that would take off on that date, the date of the eclipse in 2022, and would become a global pandemic that was, terrible, horrible, and very, very deadly if they didn't get under control, and they didn't. Well, in the film, she becomes a panda on that date, and we saw the historically, and now this is not in the film, but in the real world, that began time, and it spiked. The cases of MPox spiked, like if the pandemic was coming. But in the film, you had between that eclipse and the next eclipse, which was the November 2022 total lunar eclipse, to contain and control it. And as it turns out, again, in reality, it started with this eclipse, looked like it was going to spiral out of control, was major, major news. People were worried about containment, get these vaccines out again, of course, and do all this stuff to stop it because it's going to kill us all, possibly if we don't contain it. And then they contained it, and they contained it, interestingly, by the time of the second lunar eclipse in 2022. So it was just like the film. But so the film has Under the Eclipse, and we have the children with the flower moon, right? That was the May. The May moon is the full moon is the flower moon, and so that flower moon eclipse is hinted at here, and the children are dying. And you see, now if we go back, whatever comes from that is a child killer, it seems. And if there it is. Sorry, I'm trying to find my slide. And if we go back here, we see that this new one, 5% of adults and 10% of children who get the strain die. It gives sufferers horrendous whole body rashes, unlike the previous outbreak in 2022. And there have been other little outbreaks since then, but now this is another one that they're looking at, which caused lesions normally more limited to the genital area, said Trudy Lang, a global health researcher at Oxford University. This other strain, I don't know if it's clade, clod, whatever, strain has also been spreading through non-sexual contact between people, including among families or children playing together at school, marking a major change from previous outbreaks, the researchers said. There has been a high amount of transmission between mothers or carers and children. Lang said the strain, and so on. Okay, so and this is important. The strain has also caused numerous miscarriages, and researchers are studying its long-term effect on fertility. These significant differences between previous MPox strains are incredibly worrying, Lang said. And the extreme cases turning up at hospitals are likely the tip of the iceberg because many patients likely have less severe symptoms, she added. Um, all right, so there are a lot of important unknowns. And this year, 384 people already have died from it. More than and of those 384, more than 60% were children. All right. And so there's fears of a greater outbreak and all of that. Now, that's not to say we should all be worried that monkeypox is going to spread all over and we're all going to die of it. That's, again, I think what we were seeing in this is exactly what we talked about in this video from November 2022, that we're seeing the on and off again monkeypox. In Turning Red, the little panda stays a little panda, and then she, after the second lunar eclipse, when she decides to stay a panda, she just goes on and off as a panda, and she like has superpowers because she'll go away as a human, and then she stay as a human, and then she'll like turn into a panda and fly far, as if it's like a superpower. And so it's an on and off again thing. She just chooses to control it and appear as a panda only when it's useful for her, and she's always small. Her mom, on the other hand, emerges after that second eclipse in 2022 and is a huge pandemic. Now, I speculated at the time that was going to be maybe a new variant of COVID. Maybe we're going to see another major outbreak, and we may still see that. But I don't think so, probably. It maybe not. It looks like, and when I say I don't think so, I mean, they can release whatever they want. They've got all this stuff, so it could be. But it just seems like the propaganda recently is really pushing the bird flu, avian flu, whatever you want to call it. Finland is starting to vaccinate humans against the bird flu, which is probably more dangerous. Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's more dangerous than probably the virus that's going around right now among animals. But they're trying to, supposedly trying to prevent this from becoming a pandemic among humans. The former director of the CDC predicts the next pandemic will be from bird flu. While mortality from COVID-19 was 0.6%, he said, Robert Redfield says bird flu mortality likely to be somewhere between 25 and 50%. So they're really trying to hype up the fear element there. And they've been talking a lot about this. And so the prospect of a bird flu pandemic on the horizon is there. Now, I should add that, there are people who are talking about this possibly being gain-of-function research that's leading to this, because this bird flu is now all of a sudden in species that it really wasn't in before. They're trying to scare people from eating milk. They're trying to, get people to wipe out and kill cows and chickens, and really it looks like an attack on the food supply possibly too. I don't know. However, it's very possible that they're going to eventually, we're going to get to the point to where humans are affected by this. And we've also seen other major disease outbreaks like dengue cases after the vaccine in 2021 and 22, the COVID one. Starting in 2023, dengue in many countries set like records of number of total cases. And then in 2024, those records were broken because I think people's immune systems are so shot that they're all getting sick. And there was research in India by some researchers there that showed that people who had COVID before they had the COVID quote unquote vaccine. I don't like calling it that even, but whatever. Before they had that therapy, they those people had a significantly greater chance of having severe dengue symptoms when exposed to the virus. Okay, so it's the dengue issue can very easily be related to, and is possibly related to, that therapy and the immune systems and how the immune systems are responding. But anyways, point being, we have these various illnesses now that are coming, that are possibly on the horizon that could be the big panda. Now, the big panda was an old panda that comes back and hasn't been around a long time. So it may not have been a period of quiet with COVID. It may have been the period of quiet with the flu pandemics the world has seen. So the old panda that comes back, maybe like, with the Spanish flu in the early 20th century, and now perhaps the next big pandemic that returns is going to be the bird flu pandemic, or another flu pandemic. So let's go ahead and just look at this, do a little review. So we already went over this, but the cases of monkeypox when it initially came out did correspond perfectly with what the predictive programming in Turning Red showed. The little panda shows up with the first eclipse, looks like it's gonna stick around eventually. By the second eclipse, it's contained. It's contained. That was what the film had. She becomes a panda under the May eclipse, the flower blood moon eclipse. The disease that she becomes is one that is associated with killing children. Okay, so then we get the association between the panda and disease, so we can interpret it as pandemic right away. She goes to the bathroom when she wakes up as a panda, and her mom comes to the doors at a fever, stomach ache, chills, constipation, seasickness, and panda being associated already at the beginning of that film. Then she is going to, at the next lunar eclipse, undergo this ritual that will eliminate the panda. So that's the November eclipse. She almost splits from her panda spirit, so the pandemic almost ends, but she starts to think about all her good memories of when she was a panda and how she made friends and had these fun times and all this, and she decides to stay a panda, and she's going to leave and remain a panda, an on and off panda forever. So we get this on off pandemic, and interestingly, well, no, I'll leave it at that. So it may get a little worse as time goes on, like we're saying this new one, because in the film, what does she say? She says something like, the mom says something like, the more you show up, more you express yourself as a panda, the harder it is to ever end that, and the worse it becomes, or something like that. I don't remember, but that's not word for word, but that's the idea. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I'm just reviewing highlights that I think are important right now. So she leaves as a panda, goes to a concert, which I guess that's a bad place for a pandemic to go because it'll spread. But and you see she's on and off a panda. There she is off. Her mom becomes the panda again because her panda spirit was released when her medallion or whatever broke. She goes to the concert. Mom must have gone nuclear, so now we're going to get the nuclear panda, the one that comes after the monkeypox outbreak that goes big. That's the old panda that returns, whether it's COVID, a flu, whatever. That's the nuclear panda. And when the mom shows up, see how gigantic this panda is? She comes, she is scared by what? The red moon, because she's a red panda. She is mooning her mom, and it's red. That's the next red moon. That panda was what? The March 14th, 2025 one. That is a lunar eclipse. That is the next lunar eclipse after the 2021, 22 one, the next total lunar eclipse. So it went from November 2022 to the next total in March of 2025. A very important eclipse in all of the predictive programming, because lots of things seem to take off around this time. We see it in Leaving the World Behind, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We see it in iPet Go 2 with the pie on the face. When Skullduggery, points to the nuclear symbol on the girl's face. We see it in various places. Okay, now, so there we have that eclipse being hinted at here. See, that's the pie eclipse, and it's after the pie eclipse that there's this battle between the two pandemics, monkeypox and the other one, and there's this collision which creates a ring of fire. That is probably pointing to the next total solar eclipse after the March eclipse, March 14th, 2025 eclipse, which is August 12th, 2026. So you may have a full year of a really bad outbreak of something like the flu, or maybe it's the monkeypox and the flu go bad next year together around the same time, like a battle. Whatever. Maybe it's COVID, a new variant of COVID. That's still, I guess, possible. I mean, people have these spike proteins in them like crazy right now. Who knows how that all is going to work out? But interestingly, in August you get that total solar eclipse followed by a partial lunar, right there, lunar eclipse partial later that month. So it looks like, to me, the planning in this predictive programming was 2022. You get the monkeypox outbreak. It had to be contained by November. It was contained by November, yet it sticks around as an on and off thing that may progressively get a little worse over time, but it's never becomes the huge pandemic like the bird flu could be, or like the Spanish flu was, or like COVID allegedly was, or whatever. Okay, but around the same time next year, as it looks like the predictive program, it points to major crises in the U.S., possibly civil war, unrest, or whatever comes at that point. Around that same time, it looks like there is a pandemic, right? So I this is only predictive programming. I'm not a prophet. I'm not making a prediction, but I'm saying that that's what it looks like the predictive programming is pointing to from turning red, and it was already correct and accurate with the little panda. And so the question is, when will this big panda show up if we're accurately interpreting it? And it looks like between could already be around, but between now and 2026, August 2026 is when we'll see something. And with a lot of the stuff happening after the March 14th, 2025 eclipse, it really seems like that total lunar eclipse is a major turning point in all of this, right? Either way, so that's what I have for now. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and thanks for watching. Blessings. Take care.